These are my top 5 most enjoyable slash best fan bases. And it was very hard to put this list together because there's a lot of fans from almost every fan base that makes the fan bases more unlikable or just intolerable. So this list was very hard to make. I couldn't even think of an honorable mention because I barely could get a top 5. But at number 5, I did have my team, the Buccaneers fan base. And I say that mostly because our fan base is a little older. We're in Tampa, so that's already an older demographic. A smaller fan base, but not too small, so there is a dominant amount of fans to say there is a big fan base. I will say when Tom Brady won the Super Bowl for us in 2020, the fan base around that era was a lot more toxic because there was a lot of fanboys of Tom Brady bandwagoning onto the team. But now I feel like we are more chillaxed and more of a true fan base. I don't see Buccaneers fans as toxic. Now, obviously there's toxic fans in every fan base, but I feel like Buccaneers fans are less toxic than most fan bases, so I threw them on this list at 5. Or I have the Seahawks. Might be shocking to a lot of people, but they did just win the Super Bowl and they were not that toxic in my opinion compared to many other fan bases winning a Super Bowl. Obviously like the Chiefs and the Eagles, their fan bases go crazy. But yeah, the Seahawks fans, I feel like they know they have a good team and they're cocky about it like every fan base is going to be, but they're also not obnoxiously cocky about it. So I put the Seahawks up here. 3, I have the Vikings. The Vikings fans, for not winning any Super Bowls like ever, are actually a pretty solid fan base. They aren't too toxic in my opinion. They've had to go through ups and downs their whole entire time they've been a fan. And they still keep high hopes without being too toxic, especially being in that NFC North. They're definitely the nicest team by far in that division. And I feel like their fan base is big and is actually somewhat respectable. 2, I have the Jags. Now they do have a way smaller fan base than most of the teams on this list. But the Jags fan base, I feel like, is never really that toxic. Yes, they haven't had much success, but this season they had success, and I feel like there wasn't much toxicity being produced from that team. So I really like the Jags fan base. It is small, but I think they are very respectable. And then number 1, the Rams. Their fan base is kind of small, you could say, but LA and that whole area is a huge area. So there's a lot of sports teams and a lot of winning going on in LA, so it's hard to say who's a bandwagon and who's a real fan. But their team is very stacked, and I feel like they know it's stacked, but they're not cocky really at all, at least in my experience with their fan base, and I think they're the most enjoyable fan base in the NFL.